Charitamrita lecture.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ah, nice. Very nice. Thank you. I'll be back in a second.
Yeah.
Не, я знаю, что приехал сюда, пробовать, не знаю. Выйти, попробовать. Не время, наверное, это желательно. Может, ты не говорил. Что-то на лицо ему, что ли, кажется. Нет, больше кстати.
Да? Сейчас?
Может,
я на кухне была все занята. Нет, это все.
Уже нет, видите?
А там вот я вижу.
Вот это не тут вижу пальцы, а вот этот вверх не вижу.
Я не знаю.
Есть, да? Это ж просто.
Is Sri Rupa away?
Один выше.
14
Oh, we're starting a new chapter, isn't it?
Yeah, it is first. It's really 14.
Chapter 14, right?
Yeah.
Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya, Jaya Nityananda,
Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya, Jaya Nityananda,
Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya, Gaura Bhakta Vrinda,
Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya, Gaura Bhakta Vrinda,
Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya, Jaya Nityananda,
Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya, Jaya Nityananda,
Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya, Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya, Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
So, Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila, chapter 14, text 1. Accompanied by his personal associates, personal devotees, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to the festival known as Lakshmi Vijay Utsava. There he discussed the super excellent love of the gopis. Just by hearing about them, he became very pleased and danced in great ecstatic love for the Lord. All glories to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, known as Gaura Chandra. All glories to Lord Nityananda Prabhu. All glories to Advaita Acharya, who is so exalted. All glories to all the devotees headed by Srivas Thakur. All glories to the readers who have taken Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as their life and soul. While Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was resting in ecstatic love, Maharaj Prataparudra entered the garden. Following Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya's instructions, the king had given up his royal dress. He now entered the garden in the dress of a Vaishnava. Purport. Sometimes members of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, especially in the Western countries, find it difficult to approach people to distribute books because people are unfamiliar with the traditional saffron robes of the devotees. The devotees have therefore inquired whether they can wear European and American dress before the general public. From the instructions given to King Prataparudra by Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, we can understand that we may change our dress in any way to facilitate our service. When our members change their dress to meet the public or to introduce our books, they are not breaking the devotional principles. The real principle is to spread the Krishna consciousness movement and if one has to change into regular Western dress for this purpose, there should be no objection. Maharaj Pratapparudra was so humble that with folded hands he first took permission from all the devotees. Then, with great courage, he fell down and touched the lotus feet of the Lord. As Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu lay on the raised platform with his eyes closed in ecstatic love and emotion, the king very expertly began to massage his legs. Wow, what a chance. The king began to recite verses about the Rasa Leela from Srimad Bhagavatam. He recited the chapter beginning with the words Jayati Te Tam. These verses from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 31, constitute what is known as Gopi Gita. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu heard these verses, he was pleased beyond limits. And he said again and again, go on reciting, go on reciting. As soon as the king recited the verse, beginning with the words Tava Charitamrita, the Lord arose in ecstatic love and embraced him. Upon hearing the verse recited by the king, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, you have given me invaluable gems, but I have nothing to give you in return. Therefore, I am simply embracing you. After saying this, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu began to recite the same verse again and again. Both the king and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu were trembling, and tears were flowing from their eyes. My Lord, the nectar of your words and the descriptions of your activities are the life and soul of those who are always aggrieved in this material world. These narrations are transmitted by exalted personalities, and they eradicate all sinful reactions. Whoever hears these narrations attains all good fortune. These narrations are broadcast all over the world and are filled with spiritual power. Those who spread the message of Godhead are certainly the most munificent welfare workers. This is from the 10th canto. After reciting this verse, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu immediately embraced the king and cried, you are the most munificent. You are the most munificent. At this point, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did not know who the king was. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy was aroused because of the king's previous service. Therefore, without even asking who he was, the Lord immediately bestowed his mercy upon him. How powerful is the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Without even inquiring about the king, the Lord made everything successful. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy is so powerful that it acts automatically. If a person renders loving service to Krishna, it never goes in vain. It is recorded in a spiritual account, and in due time it will fructify. Do you hear that? You hear that? What does it say?
Fructify.
Yes. Fructify means what?
Yeah, fruit.
Yes, exactly. This is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 2:40. In this endeavor, there is no loss or diminution, and a little advancement on this path can protect one from the most dangerous type of fear. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has particularly bestowed all fallen souls in this age the most potent method of devotional service, which is Sankirtan, the congregational chanting of the Lord's holy name, and whoever takes to it through the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is immediately elevated to the transcendental position. As Srimad Bhagavatam 11 canto recommends, Yagnaya Sankirtan Prayer Yajanti Vi Sumeda Saha. A student of Krishna consciousness must receive Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy. Then his devotional service will quickly succeed. This was the case with King Pratapparudra. One has to be noticed by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and a little service with sincere effort will convince the Lord that one is a proper candidate for returning home back to Godhead. At first, Maharaj Prataparudra did not have a chance to meet Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But when the Lord saw that the king was serving Lord Jagannath as a menial sweeper, the Lord's mercy upon the king became a solid fact. When Maharaj Prataparudra, in the dress of a Vaishnava, was serving the Lord did not even inquire who he was. Rather, he had compassion upon him and embraced him. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami wants to point out that nothing could compare to the Lord's mercy towards Maharaj Prataparudra. Therefore, he uses the word Deka, just see, and Chaitanya Kripa Mahabala. How powerful is the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. This is also confirmed by Srila Prabodhananda Saraswati, Yat Karunya Kataksha Vaibhava Vatam Chaitanya Chandramrita. Even a little of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy serves as a great asset for spiritual advancement. Therefore, the Krishna consciousness movement must be spread throughout the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. When Rupa Goswami experienced the mercy and magnanimity of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he said, Namo Mahavadanaya, Krishna Prema Pradayate, Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya, Namani Gora Tviche Namaha. I offer my respectful obeisance unto the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna Chaitanya, who is more magnanimous than any other avatar, even Krishna himself, because he is bestowing freely what no one else has ever given, pure love of Krishna. Srila Nochan Das Thakur has also sung Parama Karuna Pahundui Jana Nittai Gaura Chan. The two brothers Nittai and Gaur are so kind that no one can compare to them. Similarly, Srila Narottam Das Thakur has sung, just to deliver all the sinful persons of this age by propagating the chanting of the holy name, Lord Krishna and Lord Balaram have advented as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu. Jagai and Madhai are evidence of their success. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's special mission is the deliverance of all fallen souls in this Kali Yuga. Devotees of Krishna must persistently seek the favor and mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to become fit to return home back to Godhead. Finally, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, "Who are you? You have done so much for me. All of a sudden, you have come here and made me drink the nectar of the pastimes of Lord Sri Krishna." The king replied, "My lord, I am the most obedient servant of your servants. It is my ambition that you will accept me as the servant of your servants." Purport. The greatest achievement for a devotee is to become a servant of the servants of the Lord. Actually, no one should desire to become the direct servant of the Lord. This is not a very good idea. When Prahlad Maharaj was offered a benediction by Nrsingadev, Prahlad rejected all kinds of material benedictions, but he prayed to become the servant of the servants of the Lord. When Dhruva Maharaj was offered a benediction by Kuvera, the treasurer of the demigods, Dhruva could have asked for unlimited material opulence, but he simply asked for the benediction of becoming the servant of the servants of the Lord. Kolavecha Sridhar was a very poor man, but when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted to give him a benediction, he also prayed to the Lord to be allowed to remain a servant of the servants of the Lord. The conclusion is that being the servant of the servants of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the highest benediction one can desire. At that time, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu displayed some of his divine opulence to the king, and he forbade him to disclose this to anyone. Although within his heart Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu knew everything that was happening externally, he did not disclose it, nor did he disclose that he knew that he was talking with King Prataparudra. Seeing the Lord's special mercy upon King Prataparudra, the devotees praised the king's good fortune, and their minds became open and blissful. This is characteristic of a Vaishnava. He is never envious of another devotee if another devotee receives mercy and strength of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. A pure Vaishnava is very happy to see a person elevated in devotional service. Unfortunately, there are many so-called Vaishnavas who become envious to see someone actually recognized by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. It is a fact that no one can preach Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's message without receiving the special mercy of the Lord. This is known to every Vaishnava. Yet there are some envious people who cannot tolerate the expansion of the Krishna consciousness movement all over the world. They find fault with the preacher who has spread this movement and do not praise him for the excellent service he has rendered in fulfilling Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mission. Submissively offering prayers to the devotees with folded hands and offering obeisances to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the king went outside. After this, Vaninath Rai brought all kinds of prasadam, and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu accepted lunch with the devotees. The king also sent a large quantity of prasadam through Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, Ramananda Roy, and Vaninath Roy. The prasadam sent by the king had been offered at the Balagandhi festival and included uncooked milk, products, and fruits. It was all of the finest quality, and there was no end to the variety. There were curd, fruit juice, coconut, mango, dried coconut, jackfruit, various kinds of bananas, and palm fruit seeds. This is the first list of prasadam offered to Lord Jagannath. There were also oranges, grapefruits, tangerines, almonds, dried fruits, raisins, and dates. There were hundreds of different types of sweetmeats, like Manohara Laddu, sweets like Amrita Gutika, and various types of condensed milk. There were also papayas and saravati, a type of orange, and also crushed squash. There were also regular cream, fried cream, and a type of puri made with cream. There were also the sweets known as Harivalava, and sweets made of sanoti flowers, kapura flowers, and malati flowers. There were pomegranates, sweets made with black pepper, sweets made with fused sugar, and amriti jalebi. There were lotus flower sugar, a kind of bread made from urad dal, crispy sweetmeats, sugar candy, fried rice sweets, sesame seed sweets, and cookies made from sesame seeds. There were sugar candy sweetmeats formed into the shape of orange, lemon, and mango trees and arranged with fruits, flowers, and leaves. There were yogurt, milk, butter, buttermilk, fruit juice, a preparation made of fried yogurt and sugar candy, and salty mung dal sprouts with shredded ginger. There were also various types of pickles, lemon pickle, berry pickle, and so on. Indeed, I am not able to describe the variety of food offered to Lord Jagannath. In verses 26 to 34, the author describes the various foods offered to Lord Jagannath. He has described them as far as possible, but he finally admits his inability to describe them completely. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu saw half the garden filled with a variety of prasadam, he was very satisfied. Indeed, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was fully satisfied just to see how Lord Jagannath accepted all the food. Following in the footsteps of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, a Vaishnava should be fully satisfied simply to see a variety of food offered to the deity of Jagannath or Radha Krishna. A Vaishnava should not hunger for a variety of food for his own sake. Rather, his satisfaction is in seeing various foods being offered to the deity. In his Guru Vastika, Srila Vishwanath Chakrabarti Thakur writes, the spiritual master is always offering food, Krishna, 4 kinds of delicious food, analyzed as that which is licked, chewed, drunk, and sucked. When the spiritual master sees that the devotees are satisfied by eating Bhagavat Prasadam, he is satisfied. I offer my respectful obeisance unto the lotus feet of such a spiritual master. The spiritual master's duty is to engage his disciples in preparing varieties of nice foods to offer to the deity. After being offered, this food is distributed as prasadam to the devotees. These activities satisfy the spiritual master, although he himself did not eat or require such a variety of prasadam. By seeing to the offering and distribution of prasadam, he himself is encouraged in devotional service. There then arrived 5 or 7 loads of plates made of the leaves of the Ketaki tree. Each man was supplied 10 of these plates, and in this way the leaf dishes were distributed. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu understood the labor of all the kirtan chanters. Therefore, he was very eager to feed them sumptuously. All the devotees sat down in lines, and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu personally began to distribute the prasadam. But the devotees would not accept the prasadam until Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took it. Swarup Damodar informed the Lord of this. Swarup Damodar said, "My Lord, please sit down to eat. No one will eat until you do." At that time, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu sat down with his personal associates and had every one of them fed sumptuously until they were filled to the necks. After finishing, the Lord washed his mouth and sat down. There was so much extra prasadam that it was distributed to thousands. Following the orders of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Govinda, his personal servant, called for all the poor beggars who were unhappy due to their poverty and fed them sumptuously. Observing the beggars eating prasadam, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu chanted Hari Bol and instructed them to chant the holy name. In a song, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur chants, "O people, why are you being captivated by the waves of the ocean of nescience? If you would immediately accept Lord Sri Krishna as your eternal master, there would be no chance of being carried away by the waves of illusion. Then all your sufferings would stop." Krishna conducts the material world under the 3 modes of material nature, and consequently there are 3 platforms of life, higher, middle, and lower. On whatever platform one may be situated, one is tossed by the waves of material nature. Someone may be rich, someone may be middle class, and someone may be a poor beggar. It doesn't matter. As long as one is under the spell of the 3 modes of material nature, he must continue to experience these divisions. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu therefore advised the beggars to chant Hari Bol while taking prasadam. Chanting means accepting oneself as the eternal servant of Krishna. This is the only solution, regardless of social position. Everyone is suffering under the spell of Maya. Therefore, the best course is to learn how to get out of the clutches of Maya. How to do so is stated by Krishna in Bhagavad Gita. Mam charyo vyabhicharena bhakti yogena sevate sadhanam samatithyaitan brahma bhuyaya kalpate. One who engages in full devotional service, unfailing in all circumstances, at once transcends the modes of material nature and thus comes to the level of Brahman. One can overcome the spell of Maya and attain the transcendental platform by agreeing to engage in the devotional service of the Lord. Devotional service begins with Shravanam Kirtanam. Therefore, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu advised the beggars to chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra for elevation to the transcendental position. On the transcendental platform, there is no distinction between the rich, the middle class, and the poor. As soon as the beggars chanted the holy name Haribol, they were immediately absorbed in ecstatic love of Godhead. In this way, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu performed wonderful pastimes. To feel the emotion of ecstatic love of God is to be on the transcendental platform. If one can keep himself on that transcendental position, he will surely return home back to Godhead. In the spiritual world, there are no higher, middle, or lower classes. This is confirmed in the Upanishad. One who always sees all living entities as spiritual sparks, in quality one with the Lord, becomes a true knower of things. What then can be illusion or anxiety for him? Outside the garden, when it was time to pull Jagannath's car, all the workers called Godas tried to pull it, but it would not move forward. When the Godas saw that they could not budge the car, they abandoned the attempt. Then the king arrived in great anxiety, and he was accompanied by his officers and friends. The king then arranged for the big wrestlers to try to pull the car, and even the king himself joined in, but the car could not be moved. Becoming even more anxious to move the car, the king had very strong elephants brought forth and harnessed to it. The strong elephants pulled with all their strength, but still the car remained at a standstill, not budging an inch. As soon as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu heard this news, he went there with all his personal associates. They then stood there and watched the elephants try to pull the car. The elephants, being beaten by the elephant goad, were crying, but still the car would not move. The assembled people cried out, "Alas!" At that time, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu let all the elephants go free and placed the car's ropes in the hands of his own men. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then went to the back of the car and began to push with his head. It was then that the car began to move and roll along, making a rattling sound. Indeed, the car began to move automatically, and the devotees simply carried the ropes in their hands. Since it was moving effortlessly, they did not need to pull it. When the car moved forward, everyone began to chant with great pleasure, all glories, and all glories to Lord Jagannath." No one could hear anything else. In a moment, the car reached the door of the Gundicha temple. Upon seeing the uncommon strength of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, all the people were struck with wonder. The crowd made a tumultuous vibration, chanting, "Jai Gaura Sundar, Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya." Then the people began to chant, "Wonderful, wonderful." Seeing the greatness of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Charitamrita Maharaj and his ministers and friends were so moved by ecstatic love that the hair on their bodies stood on end. All the servants of Lord Jagannath then took him down from the car, and the Lord went to sit on his throne. Subhadra and Balaram also sat on their respective thrones. There, following the bathing of Lord Jagannath and finally the offering of food. While Lord Jagannath, Lord Balaram and Subhadra sat on their respective thrones, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his devotees began to perform Sankirtan with great pleasure, chanting and dancing in the yard of the temple. While Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was chanting and dancing, he was overwhelmed with ecstatic love, and all the people who saw him were also flooded in an ocean of love of Godhead. In the evening, after finishing his dancing in the yard of the Gundicha temple, the Lord observed the Arti ceremony. Thereafter, he went to a place called Aitota and took rest for the night. For 9 days, 9 chief devotees, headed by Advaita Charya, got an opportunity to invite the Lord to their homes. During the 4 months of the rainy season, the remaining devotees extended invitations to the Lord for 1 day each. In this way, they shared invitations. For the 4-month period, all the daily invitations were shared among the important devotees. The rest of the devotees did not get an opportunity to extend an invitation to the Lord. Since they could not get one each day, 2 or 3 devotees combined to extend an invitation. These are the pastimes of Lord Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's acceptance of invitation. After taking his bath early in the morning, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would go to see Lord Jagannath in the temple. Then he would perform Sankirtan with his devotees. By chanting and dancing, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu induced Advaitacharya to dance. Sometimes he induced Nityananda Prabhu, Haridas Thakur, and Achyutananda to dance. Sometimes Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu engaged Vakreshvara and other devotees in chanting and dancing. 3 times daily, morning, noon, and evening, he would perform Sankirtan in the yard of the Gundicha temple. At this time, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu felt that Lord Krishna had returned to Vrindavan. Thinking this, his feelings of separation from Krishna subsided. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was always thinking of the pastimes of Radha and Krishna, and he remained personally merged in this consciousness. There were many gardens near the Gundicha temple, and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his devotees used to perform the pastimes of Vrindavan in each of them. In the lake named Indrajumna, he sported in the water. The Lord personally splashed all the devotees with water, and the devotees surrounding him on all sides also splashed the Lord. While in the water, they sometimes formed one circle and sometimes many circles, and while in the water, they used to play cymbals and imitate the croaking of frogs. Wow, that would be very nice. Sometimes the 2 would pair off to fight in the water. One would emerge victorious and the other defeated, and the Lord would watch all this fun. The first sporting took place between Advaitacharya and Nityananda Prabhu, who threw water upon each other. Advaitacharya was defeated, and he later began to rebuke Nityananda Prabhu, calling him ill names. Swarup Damodar and Vidyanidhi also threw water upon each other, and Murari Gupta and Vasudev Dutt also sported in that way. Another duel took place between Srivas Thakur and Gadadhar Pandit, and yet another took place between Raghava Pandit and Vakreshvara Pandit. Thus they all engaged in throwing water. So we'll finish there. We'll continue tomorrow night. In text 82, performance of the Vrindavan pastime. Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita ki jai. Sri Prabhupada ki jai. Nama. You okay up there? Settled in?
Yeah, I'm just, I'm not inside there yet, just
Okay.
outside,
You've been outside?
talking to Malaysia,
Okay.
and I will look around. You said earlier, yeah,